Hi everybody and welcome back to the Reading Corner. I know it's been a long time no see, but school has just been crazy. So I'm finally on summer break and getting back into things. Um, so I had originally planned a different video for this week, but we got the cover reveal of Onyx Storm, and so I had to change up my plans a bit, which I'm not mad about at all. And do an in-depth cover reveal of this. So here we go. If you guys haven't been following Rebecca Yarros's social media accounts, um, then you wouldn't know that she did a 3-day countdown leading up to the cover reveal, and that 3-day countdown consisted of 3 different chapter epigraphs from Fourth Wing. The first day of countdown was chapter 3. These chapter epigraphs that she posted are alluding to things that are going to happen in Onyx Storm. That is a pretty safe bet. So chapter 3 of Fourth Wing, the epigraph says, Blue dragons descend from the extraordinary Amphilius line. Known for their formidable size, they are the most ruthless, especially in the case of the rare blue daggertail, whose knife-like spikes at the tip of their tail can disembowel an enemy with one flick. I don't know if these are going to be corresponding Onyx Storm chapters, meaning that, chapter 3 in Onyx Storm is when we're going to see Sigale for the first time, or if these are just alluding to events that will happen within Onyx Storm. But if these are corresponding chapters, then I have a feeling that this may be the first time we get to see Sigale, and we know, spoiler ahead, that she is capital P pissed at Xaden, rightly so, right? Because yikes, just yikes. Like him becoming a Venom. I remember I read it at like 1:30 a.m. and I was shocked. I was like, what the heck did I just read? Please tell me that is not true. I had to like backtrack and read again, and it was a shock. And so I'm not surprised that she's pissed at him. I don't know what she's gonna say, but I'm not surprised. Also, um, I've seen this all over Instagram, so I apologize for not having someone to cite, but Rebecca Yarros has stated on some of her tours that if Onyx Storm can be described in one Taylor Swift uh lyric or era, she said that Onyx Storm is Reputation era for Violet. And I was just like, oh dear God. And in one of her panels, she talked about how that she was liking the song So It Goes at the current moment from the Reputation album, and I just listened to that and I was like, oh my God, this makes me so scared. But anyway, so who knows? I just think that, chapter 3 of Onyx Storm is probably going to be Sigale having some reaction to Xaden being Venom. Now we know from the end of Iron Flame that she's not speaking to him. Like they're still connected because he can still use his signet, which he wouldn't be able to do if she had, let's say, cut the bond between them. But she is definitely not happy with him at all. So I have no idea what that interaction between them is going to look like. The other reason that I bring up the Reputation era stuff is because I think that this is alluding to the fact that we are going to get multiple Xaden POV chapters rather than just the one that we have at the end of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Rebecca Yarros has stated in the past that we don't have multiple Xaden POVs because he has secrets that we can't know yet. And I don't know if this man can have any more secrets, let's be honest. Although he probably could. I mean, let's be real. But I really think that this could be alluding to his getting more POVs from him rather than just the one, especially since all the Taylor Swift lore out there, Reputation is when her reputation was like at its lowest. I just am like, oh my gosh, like this is Zayden to a T right now. So we'll see where that goes, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna get more POVs from him. I have a feeling though, if we're gonna get anyone out of Zayden's inner circle, let's call it, to use an Akotar reference, that it's gonna be Bodhi, because there are so many references, especially in the beginning of Iron Flame. I think it's in like chapter 1 or 2, where they're in Orisha and Violet's like, Bodhi looks so much like Zayden. Bodhi looks so much like Zayden. And so I think that with Zayden being turned venom and them having to keep it under wraps, we might get more Bodhi in the next book, which I'm not mad about. Moving on to day 2 of Countdown, and it was chapter 22 of Fourth Ring with the 2 scratched out. And the epigraph for chapter 22 says, the first rush of power is unmistakable. The first time it forms to you, surrounds you with a seemingly endless supply of energy. You'll be addicted to the high, to the possibilities of all you can do with it, to the control you hold in the palm of your hand. But here's the thing, that power can quickly turn and control you. Now, if that is alluding to the fact that Zayden may or may not lose control, and I'm leaning towards lose control, unfortunately, I don't know what else is. I mean, this is all about control and the power you hold in your hands. And we know that, Zayden holds a crap ton of power right now, right? He's trying to control himself becoming a venom, especially with the Iron Flame epigraph that says, there is no cure, there's only control. Yikes. Those go hand in hand. Talking about control and then pairing that with that Iron Flame epigraph that says there is nothing but control. Yikes. Chapter 3 and chapter 22's epigraph go hand in hand, because chapter 3 is talking about the Blue Dagger Tail, which we know from a reread is Sigale. And then chapter 22, not specifically in Fourth Wing, talking about Zayden, but we can assume that in Onyx Storm, that is referring to Zayden's venom powers and him having to try and control them. It made sense that she did those 2 back to back. This is the one that's kind of the odd one out, and I'm sure she has a purpose for it, but this was the last day before the cover reveal, and it says, this is chapter 31, and it says, July 1st, the anniversary of the Battle of Orisha is hereby proclaimed Reunification Day and will be celebrated throughout Navarre on this date every year to honor the lives lost during the war to save our kingdom from separatists and those saved by the Treaty of Orisha. Like, if we're looking at connectedness, I don't see how it connects to the other 2. No, I'm sure there's a reason that she teased this chapter, but I don't know what it means, especially since, again, spoilers, that we know Orisha does not have wards now, right? We erected the wardstone again in Basgaiath, and you can't have 2 active wardstones. Like, once you power 1, you can't have another. And so it doesn't, like, we don't have Orisha protected anymore. And the Wyvern and Venom are coming, and so I don't know what that means moving forward, other than that Orisha's gone. The other thing that we know from multiple interviews and panels and things like that Rebecca has been on recently, is that she has alluded to the fact that not all of the dragons will make it out of the series alive. And I know it's scary, and I'm just gonna say this. I think that Sigale may not make it out of the series alive, because we know from Jack that if you're a venom, you don't have to be bonded to your dragon so you can live. I don't know if Zayden is going to kill Sigale by accident on purpose. I don't know. I don't think he'd do it on purpose, but also we don't know what the venom hood is going to do to him. So let's just assume, unfortunately, that she dies and he could still live. So that is my, if I had to guess at who, if I had to guess at who wouldn't make it out of the series, dragon-wise, I would say Sigale at this point. I'm sorry, I love you, but I just feel like you, at this point, wouldn't make it out of the series alive. I'm sorry, I said what I said. Moving on, we have the Today Show article that dropped when the Onyx Storm cover dropped. So I'm not going to read you the entire article because a lot of it is just going over things we already know, like reviewing things we already know from when Onyx Storm was announced as a book that was coming out. But I am going to talk about some of the key things that I found in there. So the first one is that the Onyx Storm cover signals an ominous turn in the series with an all-black design and the tagline, "Brave the Dark." Like, what? What does the tagline mean? This could mean that we brave the dark in terms of Xaden trying to figure out his powers, and I think it also has a bigger meaning of braving the dark wielders because everyone has to deal with dark wielding. In relation to Violet, I think that that means brave the dark wielders as a whole, but also trying to help Xaden with his Venonhood and trying not to level up Venon-wise. It could also mean darker things are coming. So embrace the dark, brave it, let's go. Buckle up. So this could be in relation to the burning part, because a lot of times when things burn, there is a plume of darkness or a plume of smoke. So that could also tie into Brave the Dark. Now, I really think, like most of us have probably speculated, and most of us assume, this has something to do with the Dark Wielders. Like, of course it does, especially, again, with Xaden being Venom. Rebecca Yarros told Today in 2023 that the Empearyn series is fully plotted out across 5 books. I think it really deals with the theme of history. Who's allowed to tell our history, and what happens when only people in power are the ones who record our history, she said. That is something that she's always loved to explore, and I remember it being mentioned in other interviews and articles about how she's really interested in who tells the story and what that tells us about history. We started to see this theme really come to light in chapter 48 of Iron Flame with the epigraph, "Flyers and riders are held equal in every regard with the exception of wing structure. Riders will maintain their wings, sections, and squads, as well as retain their commands. Every drift will be absorbed by a squad, and their leader will replace the squad's current executive officer for unit cohesiveness and efficiency." We know this is new history because this was the thing that was negotiated in the last chapter and announced by Professor De Vera, and I'm excited to see more Easter eggs that way, to see how our current actions in the book that we are currently reading reflect on history and how it is implemented. Now that we've talked about everything leading up to the cover reveal, let's talk about the cover itself. Oh my gosh, the fact that it's black ombre into white, oh my gosh, and then also the figure in the middle, which Rebecca Yarros has confirmed through Facebook posts that the shapes in the middle of all 3 books are runes. And oh my gosh, when I found that out, which I found it out through Fantasy Fangirl's Instagram, I was just like, oh my gosh, what did these runes mean? Fourth wing, it's a circle. And then Iron Flame, it's a circle with these sharp pointed edges on the top of the circle and the bottom of the circle, have now turned into a rhombus diamond shape. Because it goes like this. I don't know what these mean, but oh my gosh, I was just like, ooh, the fact that the circle is now turning into a square and we're getting more of the shape because we just had the top and then the bottom. Now we have it going in like this. Oh, that is so, so good. Also, because we have the confirmation that each of the covers are runes, I went in to Iron Flame and pulled the section where we talk about runes for the very first time. And Professor Trissa says, "Runes aren't just decorative. They're strands of magic pulled from our power, woven into geometric patterns for specific uses, then placed into an object either for immediate work or usage at a later date. We call the process tempering. Every shape has meaning. The points where we tie the power change that meaning. The shapes we combine layer the meanings, changing the rune. Will it activate immediately, sit in a suspended state? How many times can it activate before the rune depletes? It's all decided here in the formation of the rune." The line that stood out to me when I read that is the line that says, "sit in a suspended state." I have no idea what these runes could mean, but does that mean that the rune for Onyx Storm puts Xaden in a suspended state at the end? Because we know from the chapter where we're at Takaris' house and they have to defeat the Venin that it was put in a suspended state within the chest that Xaden's father gave to Karis as an engagement present. So, like, yikes. I don't know. Does this mean that Xaden becomes too powerful and no one can hold him back anymore, and so we have to put him in a suspended state? I don't know, but oh my goodness. Also, the fact that the shapes we combine layer the meanings, change the rune. So does this mean that we are going to combine all 5 runes at the end of the story, and that's how we defeat the Dark Wielders? Who knows? But I think that that is a pretty safe possibility, and I can't wait to see what that rune looks like, because I don't know. Like, how would that rune look like? What would that function be? Oh my gosh. I don't know. Could it be that we use all 5 runes to find a cure for Venin, and that's how we cure Xaden? Is that how we defeat them? Like, not that we cure them with that rune at the very end of all 5 books, but that we defeat them that way? I don't know. But then also, I think if you found a way to defeat them through runes, you could also kind of reverse engineer it, if that's the correct term, and find a cure for them too. I definitely don't think Xaden, unfortunately, is going to be cured within book 3. I think if he's going to be cured of Veninhood, which I really hope he is, that he's going to be cured within book 4 or book 5. I really hope it's book 4, but I also wouldn't say no to the possibility that it happens in book 5. Oh my gosh, the title. We have to talk about it because, yes, I know this was a cover reveal, so we knew the title ahead of time, but we do have to talk about it because, oh my gosh. Okay, so Onyx Storm. I have been rereading the series with a friend of mine, and the only thing that is described as Onyx is Xaden's eyes, and then also the bond between Xaden and Violet, because in the infamous chapter 48, the famous throne scene, Violet says, and I quote, "Shimmering onyx wraps around my mind." Onyx is only used in reference to Xaden. I know that Onyx Storm means multiple things here. It definitely is going to be referencing the Venin, and that we're going to have to deal with that, because that is definitely a storm. I mean, if you have a bunch of wyvern descending on you, as we did in the end of Iron Flame, oh my gosh, that is definitely a storm. Also, I really like that it's Onyx Storm, because to me that means that Xaden and Violet are going to be working together, and I don't think is going to pull an Edward Cullen, thank God, and like run away because he's like, "I'm not good for you, and I'm going to protect you by walking away." I don't think we're going to do that. I think they're going to work together, and that she's going to help him resist Veninhood to a degree. Now, I think at some point he is going to level up to the next stage of Venin, as much as we try to not have him do that. I think that's definitely going to happen. But she's definitely going to help him not lose control as quickly. And the reason that I think this is, of course, like I just said, the title, Onyx Storm. To me, you know, with Violet's lightning signet and her being able to conjure storms in a sense that clues me into the fact that they're going to be working together. And then also, when we defeat the Venin in Iron Flame at Takaris' house, and Xaden almost killing Takaris by like choking him out, Violet is able to talk Xaden down from killing Takaris through touch and assuring him that she's all right and that she's alive. And so I think that Violet is actually going to play a key pivotal role in keeping him from Veninhood at first. And then unfortunately it's going to go downhill because, of course, Rebecca Yarros wants to rip our hearts out and we have to have a story. But I think at first she is going to be able to kind of help him control the urge to channel from the source again. The last thing that I want to talk about is the things that other people have noticed through doing their own cover reveals. And the first one is from Kelsey M. Books. And this was a picture I saw on Instagram where she's talking about the book evolution. And she has all three books side by side. And then I also saw, and I don't remember who this is, so I'm so sorry, but I also saw them lined up in a line. So first you had Fourth Wing, then you had Iron Flame, and then you had Onyx Storm. When they're lined up vertically like this, it's almost as if they all fit into each other. You have the circle for Fourth Wing, and then you have Iron Flame, which has the circle, and then you have the points and the points. The points then seem to, in this vertical line, connect to the next point in Onyx Storm. So I love that evolution. I also, speaking of book evolution, found this reel on Facebook from Flights of Fantasy podcast, and they talk about how the gold from Fourth Wing then fades to orange. So we have Fourth Wing where the top left of the book is gold, and then on the bottom it fades to orange on the bottom right. So we have orange from Fourth Wing on the top of Iron Flame, and it ombres to black. We then pick up the black in Onyx Storm. So the top left of Onyx Storm is black and transitions to the bottom right to be silver. So they speculated, and I agree with this, that we are going to have book 4, the top left, be silver. So I'm really excited to see that evolution. The podcast also mentioned how the right hand of the map, where the silver starts to fade on the book cover, goes into the Barrens. So could that signify that we're going to go into the Barrens in the 4th book? Or could the silver be alluding to Violet's hair? We have no idea. I think that book 4 might be both. Who knows? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Something I noticed while editing this video is that there were details on the cover that I missed. So I'm gonna talk about those because I want this to be in-depth as possible. So then, going from left to right on the cover, you have dusk on the left because you have the sun, the yellow sun rising above these dark clouds. And then on the right, you have silver clouds and a setting black sun. I personally believe that this has to do with light versus dark and how we are going from light Zayden to dark Zayden, and then also potentially other characters, especially Violet's grayness, right? We've dealt with them being morally gray before, but I think we're getting into doing whatever it takes at all costs to help Zayden. And then looking at the center of the shape, you have the little gear, and then the sun, which now looks like a moon. It used to be a sun in both Iron Flame and Fourth Wing, and Andarna used to be in the middle. Empearyn has replaced Andarna in the middle. For the first 2 books, we talked a lot about Andarna, and we learned a lot about her. We learned how she was the second honor for Violet because that's what her name means. Her name means second honor, and she also was a baby who knew that she was going to bond to Violet because she had heard the elders talking about her, and she knew she was going to bond and waited till her 600th year to hatch. We also followed her growing up from a baby Feathertail to an adolescent. Now, I don't know if she's going to be grown up in Onyx Storm or not, but she's definitely been the main dragon we've been following throughout the last 2 books, with her growing up and then learning that she is the 7th breed of dragon. I've just been following her as the main dragon. I think now, though, with Terran being that center dragon on the cover, that means that we're going to be following him a lot more and learning more about him potentially. So I'm really excited for that. And Andarna is less gold. She's now like a beige white color, which I find interesting. Maybe that was just like a stylistic choice. Who knows? Again, I apologize if this video was all over the place. I'm just getting back into the swing of things, and I am really excited about this. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. But until next time,